Hello! I am finally getting around to, I guess, the third installment of my somewhat secret history of GoBots and Transformers. Mainly because this is the first time I really felt like doing one. I mean, like I said, I just do this as a hobby now, just for my own enjoyment. And judging by my analytics, nobody watches them anyhow, so. And, like I said, when I was doing the woodworking stuff, I felt like I had to do one every 2 weeks and it was on a schedule, and I was like, man, screw that. So anyway, here's the third installment, but before I go on, I just want to say, rest in peace, Stan Lee. Yeah, I might do a video on him later. And yes, I know this isn't one of the Fantastic Fours he wrote. This is the brand new series, but I can't afford an original Stan Lee Fantastic Four, so this is what you get. Okay. In my previous videos, I talked about the history of Western companies bringing in Japanese properties under new names. I talked about how Tonka and Hasbro had brought over the Machine Robo, Diaclone, and Microchange lines from Bandai and Takara. I talked about how business decisions of both Tonka and Hasbro eventually set each company up for its eventual fate. Tonka for failure, Hasbro for success. But now I just want to talk about the actual properties themselves. Like from the toys to the TV shows. Okay. This lovely lady here is an original Smallfoot. Her head doesn't want to stay up, but she's a 35-year-old toy, so I mean, my son Scrapper, which is only 2 or 3 years old, has the same problem, so for a 30-year-old toy, she has held up remarkably well. Articulation-wise, she has an arm. You raise her arms and lower them, and do the transformation. She has a knee bend, and that's about it. And she can go, peekaboo, peekaboo. Okay. And honestly, this level of articulation was pretty standard on every Transformer and GoBot back in the 80s. Like, none of them had much more articulation, and a lot of them had even less. And like I said, this was across both lines. The most articulate one was probably Jetfire, and he was actually transported in from the Robotech line, originally a Valkyrie, repainted and renamed Jetfire, and made by Bandai, which made Machine Robo, which I kind of got into, I think, the last time about how Hasbro reached out to other toy lines to bring the best in for Transformers, while Tonka would just freelance the name GoBots out to anybody who was willing to pay a licensing fee. And also show you that Bandai really didn't care. They didn't care about Tonka. They didn't care. They just wanted the money. And if they got licensing fees from Tonka, great. If they get fees from Hasbro, great. But yeah, she's good deal die cast. This is metal. This here is plastic. Her arms are plastic, and her lower legs are plastic. All this is metal. Real rubber wheels. And the one thing I wanted to contrast her with, this is Off-Road. He's a modern day Transformer. I didn't want to do well, I was going to get my son's Ironhide, but he's buried in the toy box, and I wasn't digging through it. Besides, it's the same mold. So, and the reason I wanted a modern Transformer, one, I can't afford a vintage one. It's not one worth showing. And two, I think that would actually give you the better thing. Now, articulation-wise, off-road, can lift his leg, has a knee bend, thigh rotation, elbow bend. You can bring him out here. You just got to clear a little backpack. Head's on the ball joint. You can turn, look up, look down. So articulation-wise, he's far more articulate than Miss Smallfoot here. No. Hello. I gotta get used to where the camera's at. But then he's more articulate than a vintage Transformer too. But he's all plastic. He's really wibbly wobbly, especially in the legs. I mean, my son's Ironhide, which, like I said, is the exact same mold. His head pops off a lot. They're both combiners. So when you bring the combining port out, Ironhide's head pops off a lot. But anyway, like I said, this is a modern Transformer, and you can see that there is a lot of, maybe you can't, a lot of nice molded detail on the face. Some nice detail here. Some decent paint apps. Some nice moldings on the side. And again, if you look at Miss Smallfoot here, use a much smaller scale. She has some really nice paint apps, sticker, some nice detailing, a pretty detailed head sculpt. Like I said, this is a 35-year-old toy. Okay, transformation, yes, is easy. They were all easy. People say, oh, Transformers were complex and elegant, and the GoBots were simple and stupid. They were both easy. I mean, seriously. Okay. Sorry, ma'am. Taking your boobies off. Okay. There. Here she is in her alt mode. She is missing this part, but I was able to get this really cheap, secondhand. It's not one of mine. I had the figure when I was a kid, but you know, and I didn't get it for me. I actually did get it for my son. He plays with her. But anyway, it's the vehicle mode that really stands out. You got some nice stickers here. You have this. And I'll take this off. I mean, you have a really nice molded grille. You have the four-wheel drive sign here. I mean, this is really very detailed, very nicely done alt mode. Now, Mr. Off-Road. And honestly, when you get down to it, the actual transformation is remarkably similar. I mean, bring the legs up, get the arms in, twist the head around if you don't want visible head syndrome, and boom. Now, as you can see, they're both pickup trucks. Okay, and this one is bigger, but I mean, just look at the detailing on these two. They're pretty much equal. And like I said, this is from 2015, 16, maybe 14, but from the teens, 2000 teens. This is from 83. And you can see that the level of and a much smaller scale. The level of detailing is pretty much equal. Now here's another vintage GoBot, she's one of my favorites as well. Pathfinder. Love the character, love the toy. And you can see there's all types of molded detail. And there's the guns, stickers. Right here, the main body. Here's the back. Look, just look at all that, the detail in the paneling. I had Cosmo, the Transformer, who also transformed into a UFO like Pathfinder, and the detailing wasn't even close. She blows Cosmo out of the water. So again, yeah, the transformation is fairly easy. But as you can see, it's far more than, oh, you have to do is stand him up and you're done. No, it's a little bit more involved than that, but it's not overly complicated. Just consider these are kids' toys. They shouldn't be. And I'll get to that a little bit later. But as you can see, these are just really, really high quality, well made, detailed toys. All the hate and they had no transformation or they were inferior or that's all stuff that came later. Usually by people of the next generation who never even grew up with these. And now the cartoons. Okay. First things first. I got my lamp starting right on it. Both cartoons are bad. 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 Just bad. But if you think this is a lot worse than this, you've never seen this, you're too clouded by hate, or your nostalgia glasses are on way too thick. Well, too thick, not on way too thick. Both of these shows suffered from bad plots, bad writing. This, though, the animation could be really good, like almost anime quality animation, which is what I was going for. Although some animes are really crappy too. But for the most part, it looked like it was made by people who were just there for a paycheck. It's like, we gotta sell some robots, draw some robots. Okay. The animation really holds up more on this. This doesn't do it justice. This is dumb. But that gets to the heart of the difference between GoBots and Transformers. This here is not the equal of the animation quality. This is less than. This is better than what you're going to see in the actual cartoon. This picture is better than anything that's in the actual animation. So, but while both were bad, I do think this holds up better. And rewatching both shows as an adult, one, you realize just how bad they were. I mean, as a kid, you're able to paper over a lot of stuff because it's like, oh, this is cool, this is what I like. I'll just ignore stuff. When you watch them as an adult, it's like, was I force-fed lead paint while being dropped on my head repeatedly? But with this one, it actually feels like, because it was done by Hanna-Barbera, it actually feels like they were trying to make a cartoon show. I mean, yeah, it's to flog off toys, but they still approached it like a real cartoon show. And some of the writing was actually fairly decent. There's a episode where Fighter is taken prisoner, and I think they call him a terrorist, and he goes, "No, I'm not a terrorist. I'm a patriot." Which, as a kid, it's like, okay, kind of goes. But as an adult, it's like, what is the difference between a patriot and a terrorist? Is it who won, who lost? There's a scene where Psykill condenses the population of the Earth into little spheres, each sphere representing 1 billion people. And one of the scenes, Leader 1 tries to save him, and Psykill catches him, and he takes one of the orbs and crushes it in the sand, symbolizing the murder of 1 billion people. Megatron never did that. Megatron in this cartoon looks awesome. Looks-wise, Megatron has Psykill beat, but as a villain, he's little more than an annoying idiot. Whereas Psykill comes off as kind of truly frightening in a few instances. Both shows shared actors. Peter Cullen, Frank Welker, and some others. So the voice talent was equal. But yet still, GoBoss has such a much worse reputation. Like I said, most of that was, as I said in my other video, most of that came after the fact. By people who weren't even alive or barely alive in the 80s, who never witnessed or experienced both firsthand, and who were just going off what they heard. And it's weird because there are people who will go, GoBots suck, but Machine Robo rules. Now, Machine Robo eventually did get his own, cartoon series, which more on that later. This is kind of how messed up things were. I'll get into it now. After GoBoss faded out in the United States, Bandai did commission his own officially licensed Machine Robo series. But when it was sold into syndication, like in France, it was actually sold as part of the next season of Challenge of the GoBots. And when it was dubbed in French, all the characters' names were the same, which created some really bad continuity disorders. But the original series had that. Both of them did. I mean, I often say G1 continuity is a contradiction in terms when it comes to the Transformers. But you get it. It's like people go, "Oh, GoBots suck, but Machine Robo ruled," and it's like, unless you're talking about the cartoon series, it's the same toy. This is, Machine Robo, GoBot, Robo Machine, Machine Man. It's the same thing. It's just, you're just labeling it different. So it doesn't make any sense. And it's like, oh, well, it's different, And like, when MGO was doing reviews for the reboot, and he would call this Leader 1, and people, no, it's Eagle Robo, it's Eagle Robo. It's like, listen, if you're going to call him Eagle Robo, you better be calling him Convoy, or Battle Convoy, or whatever the G2 version was, which is what that's based off of. Okay? So, the antipathy, is that right? I don't know, maybe, yeah. I swear I have a fairly good vocabulary. I'm just old and going in dementia setting it early. But anyway, I can't wait if there's any viewers comment on that. Yeah, you got dementia, that's why you like GoBots. Anyway. But, yeah. Let me get her back in robot mode. You know, and that's one of the advantages of the GoBots mythology, being that they were humanoids, organic beings. The reason, I dropped her boobies. Anyway, the reason why some identified as male, some as female, is because they used to be male and female. They're still identifying as whatever they were or identified as before. Whereas with, Transformers, it's like, why are they identifying as robots don't have gender? And a side note, it shows you how sexist our society is when, it wasn't until the female Autobots, female Transformers were introduced when it's like, how can they be female? Robots don't have gender. Whereas up until then, it's like he, him. It's like, nope, won't see anything wrong with that. Nope. But anyway, that's a whole other subject that I don't want to get into. But yeah, so that is one of the strengths of the GoBots mythology. It was just easier to explain why there's boys and girls, because they come from a race where there was boys and girls. And so yeah. And I think one of the things is, now that things are going along, that now that we've gotten far enough away, that there are a lot of people my age who grew up with both, who either loved both equally, loved the GoBots almost as much, or in my case liked them a little bit more, and yeah, they're bringing them back. I mean, technically, yes, the reboot is under Machine Robo. But make no mistake about this. This is a GoBot. And I know that because when they came out with the deluxe version of Psykill, they came out with animation-accurate faces for him as a bonus. It's just really hard since right now the GoBots license are divided among 3 companies. Hanna-Barbera, Hasbro, and Bandai. Neither one of them are in much of a mood to deal with each other. Especially when you bring in Hasbro's partner Takara, who is Bandai's chief competitor in Japan. They really don't want to deal with them. But IDW, who did an excellent job of the Transformers comics, they're coming out with a line of GoBots comics this month. So I think now that there are people who are rediscovering their love and appreciation for GoBots, and new people who are starting to come in and willing to give them a shot, or at least a fair view, whereas before they weren't because they had such a bad reputation. So that's about it. The one final thing I would say is, this is in regards to both lines when it comes to transformation. I actually prefer the old school transformations because you could switch modes really quickly. Transformer GoBot, you could go from robot to vehicle mode really fast. The new transformations, they're too fiddly. The tolerances are too tight. It takes too long. I know when my son and I play, and it comes time to transform them, it's just like you have this giant dead zone. So we pick a mode that we want them in, and then we just play with them usually in that mode. There's not a whole lot of transforming goes on. But ain't that right, Boo Bear?
Huh?
About usually when we play with your Transformers and GoBots, we don't really transform them much. We just pick a mode that they're going to be in and just kind of play with them in that mode.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah. So, Bubba,
Yes?
before I wrap this up, who's your favorite GoBot?
That would be Litter One.
Who's your favorite Transformer?
That's tough. I would have to pick between Optimus and Grimlock.
Fair enough, fair enough.
And Flash.
Mm-hmm. What about Trypticon?
Yeah.
You also like Zod, too, don't you?
Yeah. I also like Zod.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about them.
Okay. Alrighty. Anyway, just wrapping up this series. Anything else you want to add about Transformers and GoBots?
No.
Okay. Do you like both?
Yes.
Do you like both cartoon shows? Do you like both toys? Yeah, then the GoBots comic book hasn't come out, so you haven't read that.
Yeah.
So we can't compare the comic books, but do you have fun playing with them?
I played with them last night when you were gone.
Okay. Alright, well here. Love you and I'll be out. And honestly, that's what it's all about. So, I guess I'm done unless you request something else in this line. So, for this little mini-series, I'm done. I'm out. I'll see ya. Later.